YouTube, look at me and we're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel again, guys. In today's video, we're going to be speaking about 5 reasons on why the Leica Q is still a valuable camera for 2022. So I bought the camera in 2018. The Leica Q was one of those cameras that I saw and I was like, wow, it's amazing. I would like to shoot with that camera. And it was the best way to get into the Leica ecosystem, because as you already know, the Leica brand overall is a luxury brand. And if you was to buy a body like an M with a M lens, that's gonna cost you a whole lot of money. And as being a point and shoot camera, point and shoot meaning that the lens that is on this camera, you cannot detach it. It's not removable. You cannot replace it with another one. So with the lens that this one has, I think that it was an amazing offer for me. And at the time when I bought it, the Leica Q2 had come out. A lot of people wanted to get rid of the camera, and at the time I jumped on it. A person gave me a great price. The version that I have is a QP, which is an all matte black camera. I love it. The original is more glossy, but at the end of the day, it does the same thing. It has a 28mm Summilux lens, Summilux being 1.4, but on the Q is a 1.7, and on the Q2 as well is an amazing lens. Reason number one is because the prices are cheaper and you could get a great deal, whether you're buying it from eBay. Just be careful. If you're buying it from like one of those companies that resells used gear like MBP, KEH, from Adorama, B&H, those companies, they're gonna sell you a valuable camera. You need to remember that the Q2 monochrome, the Q2 reporter are all out now. That means that these cameras, the original Type 116, the price is gonna get lower. But do not expect this camera to be like $1,000. If it is $1,000, you should question the seller. Why are they selling this camera for such a low price? Because at the end of the day, it's a Leica brand camera. You should expect to spend at least $2,000 if it's really beat up. If it's in mid condition, $2,500 to $3,000 on this camera. If you find it in perfect condition, bite the bullet, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna tell you that this camera is very worth it. It's worth it for me. I really enjoy it. You guys already know that most of my shots that I've shown on YouTube has been with this camera, has been either doing shoot editorial, shoot photography, travel with my family. It's the perfect everyday carry. Reason number two is the sensor and the files that you get from this sensor. On the Leica Q2, you have a sensor that is 24 megapixel. It has a CMOS sensor, and the files rendition are chef kiss, amazing. For me, it works. I don't need more than 24. I'm realizing that the older I'm getting, the less I want. If you are a person that likes to crop in, then maybe you will go for the Q2. And in times where I think that I could crop, I'll crop a little bit. I know the limit on this camera is it's not much, but if I need to further crop in or zoom in, then that's when I will let my Leica SL, which is recording me right now, with a 24-70. If I need to zoom in at 50 or 70, then that's what the SL is there for, right? The low light rendition of the Leica Q is amazing. You don't get as much noise, because the lower the megapixel, the less noise or artifacts you will get in the image. The higher the megapixel you have, the more artifacts or the extra sharpness you will see in the image. And sometimes a little bit of blurriness make an image even better, instead of having a complete ultra sharp image, right? Yeah. Reason number three, the camera. Leica did an amazing job with all everything that they sell. All the equipment is very minimalistic, and the Leica Q2 is very minimalistic too. The version that I got, the QP, is very extra minimalistic, just because it's that ultra black. I know that looks don't matter, but looks do matter, because if they motivate you to grab the camera to go outside, then that's the camera you should go with. That should not be your motivation to buy this camera or whatever it is. But if the look of the camera motivates you to go take out photos, that's gonna be an amazing opportunity for you to capture moments that you don't think that you would have been able to grab if you had been just staying home overthinking yourself, right? So looks does it for me overall. I just is amazing, right? Yeah. We also need to talk about how compact this camera is. This camera is very small for its size, right? Like, this camera is very small, and I've done a lot of videos, and especially on, I tell you how I broke this camera and I dropped it 5 times, and thankfully Leica did a majestic job in putting it back together and giving it back to me. But that's another reason for me for why I like this camera so much. It's very compatible, it's very small, it's very compact. I could use it, my wife could use it, my son could use it. I will not trust my son, but he could use it. It's like very small in his hand, right? I only have a thumb grip because it allows me to grab it with like more preciseness, right? I like the feel it gives me, right? So this is why I really enjoy this camera. It's not pocketable. You cannot put it in your pocket. For this one, I will take my sling bag, I call it my swag bag. And in my swag bag, I put all the batteries and GoPro when I do a street session or I'm doing some editorial travel. This is all I need, right? Lastly, number 5 is lens and body. You get a 2-for-1 special. What I'm saying is that you get the Leica body and you get a lens. And not only whatever type of Leica lens, you get a Sumilux lens. This is like the highest level of the Leica brand, right? Before you go into the Noxilux, right? That's the last stop. But this lens is ultra sharp, wide open, and it's the color rendition, the images rendition that you get from the sensor and this lens together paired up is amazing. Yes, you could crop in, you have a 35, 50 millimeter, and I think 75, but you need to remember that you're not gonna get the same effect if you was to use the actual 50. You're not gonna get that compression. You're gonna get a crop-in version of a 50 millimeter without the compression, right? So if you're looking for that compression part, then I would advise you to get a Leica M and a 50 millimeter because that's what's gonna give you that look, that 50 look. It's not about the size, right? It's how you rock the motion of the ocean, right? Isn't it what people say? So yes, this is about the motion on the ocean. This will be it. This is the camera I would advise you. The camera's not perfect. I'm not telling you that this camera is amazing. There is 2 things that I wish that this camera had to be perfect for me, right? 2 things, and one that I could live without. Number 1, the camera, I wish that this camera would have been weather sealed. I find myself sometimes where I'm going outside in the streets and sometimes it's raining, kind of heavy. I overthink. If I don't have an umbrella on top of me, I will not take this camera out. Or if I do, it's like very, I'm holding back, or uncompromised that you have to do. When you take this camera out, you have to watch out for the weather outside, whether it's very dusty or sandy or very rainy or snow. Snow-wise, I think I can handle it, just have to be careful. But I wish that this would have had weather sealing because it would have been perfect. Number 2 will be the battery life. The battery life on this is not terrible, but it's not great either. I wish that this camera had the Leica SL battery. But if you put the Leica SL battery on a Leica Q, the body is very small. It doesn't use that much energy unless you're doing the Wi-Fi stick, because then it would drink it, right? The battery would be amazing because it will be compatible with one another if I had the SL battery here, but unfortunately I don't. And then the thing that I could live without, I wish it would have had dual memory card slots on this camera. Sometimes I put a 64, 32 gigabytes on this camera, and it will last me because again, the sensor size is 24 megapixels, so I get more opportunity to take photos. I don't need to be switching my memory cards as often if I had a 47 megapixel. What are your thoughts? Am I going crazy? Is the Leica Q is the way to go for 2022? This is my opinion, to each his own. If you like my opinion, you already know what to do. Subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna be making more video content with the Leica brand from my perspective, how I use it, and how I like to create images and moments with these equipment. If you're a new subscriber, my name is Ramon Brito. I'm a photographer that likes to create stories. I like to talk about gear. I like to tell you guys how I use my gear to capture my imaginations and how everything comes back to life. If you do like that, then subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Hey, ciao. Thumbnail.